all those moments will be lost in time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be looking at something weird for a change. So my best friend came across this page on Facebook and she was like, you need to look at this. This is some weird shit. So the page is called The Transformed Wife. So it is a Christian persuasion type page where issues are talked about through a Christian lens, let's say. So on their Facebook, there is a section that says Our Purpose. So I'm going to read that just so you get an idea of what we're dealing with here. The aged women may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Before we get into this, let me just be clear. I have nothing against Christianity. I was raised Christian. Most of my family is Christian Catholic, so there's no hate here, even if I don't live my life according to the Bible. So anyways, I thought we could go to the website to see what this whole thing is about. And I came across some very interesting things. It felt like a lot of what is written in this blog is very particular yet generalized. And what I mean when I say that is that the author is thinking of a particular moment in their life and then is generalizing it as if it happens all the time or everyone kind of relates to that. So there's a moment when there's a description of how women should submit to their husbands, and in that vein, when they submit to their husbands, only seek counsel in their husbands and only talk to their husbands about church and for advice for everything, right? And the author even said, sometimes pastors try to get in the way to cause a divorce or something. And I'm like, wait, that's not a general thing. That's something that might have happened sometimes, but I don't think that's the usual norm, right? So I did notice that on this blog, which I don't really necessarily blame because I feel like everyone has the tendency to do that a little bit. However, I also came across this post that I thought we could talk about. Men are battered for being sexual beings, written by Anonymous. Thank you for this article. Sex is basic to marriage. Thoughts on 2 points immediately come to mind. When wives deprive their husbands, they are opening up their husbands to be tempted by Satan. This is not good at all. We are to do nothing to cause our brothers to stumble. No, not even our husbands. This is so true. However, the modern husband is expected to suck it up, be a man and serve your wife, etc. It's as if God's design for the husband's desire of his wife was an error that needs to be suppressed. I'd give $1 million to not just have sex with my wife on a regular basis, but to have her understand that my desire for her is not a perversion. I'm not sick in the head for wanting my wife. I'm not a pervert for desiring her. There's nothing wrong with me for thinking she's sexy, or is there? Maybe I'm missing something and God's design is faulty. I just want to be desired by her. What I feel is very interesting here is that usually in the media that I consume anyways, men are portrayed as these sexual beings that are always just looking to have sex and they can't see past it, which I think is really stupid, in the same way that I think that it's really stupid to pretend that women are obsessed, all women are just obsessed with shopping and super materialistic and dumb, like these stereotypes. I'm not saying those are the main stereotypes, but these stereotypes are dumb. And it's interesting to me to see that here the stereotype is kind of flipped over, where this husband wants to have sex with his wife, yet he is being treated like he's a pervert for that, which to me is very strange because I think most wives would want their husband to look at them in that way. I think most wives want to be wanted by their husband. Isn't that part of getting married, knowing that you want to be with that person forever in all aspects of the marriage, whether it's the bedroom or just companionship or whatever? Then there's another point being made that says, most husbands probably tell their wives how much they want sex, but not to the extent since they know how their wives will respond. More rejection. This is why God commands older women to teach younger women to love their husbands, which includes satisfying them sexually. This person says, the rejection is torture, plain and simple. I believe that a big part of the problem, at least in Christian homes, can be laid at the feet of the church. Women, do any of your women's lunches, special speakers, etc. discuss the importance of sex with your husbands? Do they discuss the importance of husbands, or are husbands trampled on as ignorant cavemen completely out of touch with today's refined women? It seems that the latter is the norm of sinful society. I hope it's not the norm for church meetings. I can understand that rejection in any way, shape, or form, whether it's like sexual or not, is horrible and it can make you question a lot of things, and it really can be emotionally damaging to be rejected in all these different ways. However, I do want to make it very clear that in a marriage, there's no inherent owing your spouse sex. Like, I understand that with most marriages, like, the understanding is that people are gonna have sex, and maybe some marriages are different, I don't know. But I think it's really fucked up to kind of paint this picture of I won't be able to function unless you let me have sex with you or stuff like that. Whether it's the man or the woman saying it, it really disgusts me because it's undermining the other person, because it's like there are two people involved in having sex, and if you're gonna guilt someone into having it because like they're supposed to, or that's, you know, like what they were created for and man needs that because God created them that way, I don't like that kind of argument whatsoever, because I really think it is based on manipulation and guilt tripping and general gaslighting. There are so many things that come to mind, but whether it's a man or a woman saying this, I just feel like you have to act a very particular way about rejection, because like I said, it can very quickly turn into something of manipulative and disgusting versus you expressing your emotions. Here, it feels a little bit slimy in the sense, don't you have meetings discussing about how important it is for like women to have sex with their husbands? And it's just like, there doesn't need to be a meeting. You can have a conversation with your wife, you know, like you can have a conversation with your husband. It feels a little bit silly to act like there have to be these meetings where instead of husband and wife communicating about whatever the problem is, having like someone stand on a podium and be like, okay guys, so this is the deal with the sex, you know? I don't know, that feels weird to me. Ladies groups appear to be all about boosting a woman's self-esteem. Look at yourself through God's eyes. How is your relationship with God today? At least that's how it looks like from the advertisements in the church lobby. Church lobbies have advertisements now? I haven't been to church in a long time. Anyway, I do want to say one thing. I do generally feel that there is a double standard right now with men and women, in the sense that a lot of the times you see on Twitter, especially, you know, like women talking about having a certain standard for the man they want in their lives and having self-respect and demanding someone that, you know, fulfills all of their wants, I guess, or like everything they want in a mate. I see a double standard because a lot of the times when I see men voicing similar things like, I want a woman who does X, Y, and Z, which they're totally allowed to say, by the way, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're just some loser boy, like, who are you to say anything, blah, blah, blah. So I do see a lot of men being silenced online about what they want in life and what they want out of women, and women saying the same thing and being like praised for it. So I do think that there is a little bit of a problem, and I do think it has a lot to do with today's feminism, which isn't really feminism anymore. A lot of the times it's just misandry pretending to be about equal rights, but I'm not gonna go into that right now, but I think you guys know what I mean. Men get battered over the head in our groups for being sexual beings. Do women hear any similar straight talk about your role for your husbands? I've been in church a long time, and I can't think of one time I've heard a sermon putting responsibility on the wife in this manner. It's as if the Song of Solomon was never written. Ladies, you want a different husband? Desire him. Love him. You probably don't have to have sex every time, but let him look at you, touch you, etc. Let him know he's not a pervert for desiring you. Let him know he's not broken for wanting you. Uplift him. He's only human, just like you. You'll change his life, I promise. If you don't do that, the consequences will be your responsibility. Now, I don't like how this man is talking. I really don't. But at the same time, I feel like something really sad is happening in his life right now. And I don't mean that in a patronizing way whatsoever. Like, it really seems like his feelings are hurt. Like, he feels unloved. Like, listen to this. Let him look at you, touch you. Let him know he's not broken for wanting you. Like, it sounds like the person he's with is seriously distant or cold or something's up, because this guy sounds really sad. At the same time, that sadness seems to be letting out some ugly kind of things, like saying, if you don't do that, the consequences will be your responsibility. So the implication is like, what? If you don't care about him, he's gonna cheat on you. If something's up in your marriage, you talk to the person and you talk to the person and you keep trying, or you go to marriage counseling, you keep trying until you don't want to try anymore, and then you end it. and then you can go have your affairs or whatever, but you don't cheat on them because they're not doing something that maybe you haven't even told them about. You know what I mean? But in terms of what I was saying before about the particular generalizations, do you see what I'm talking about? Here he's talking about one specific woman, obviously, and one specific case, his own, obviously, and he's acting as if it's a general thing. He's acting as if most women act like their husbands are perverts for wanting them, which I don't think is a general case, a general situation, but he's acting like that, and I feel like that's a very common theme in this blog, is that they talk about issues, but instead of just saying, hey, this is my issue, I am going through this, it's a generalization of like children today or women today or men today, and I'm just kind of like, no, this is a particular problem with you. However, I do think that this article does bring up an important problem that we do have in today's society that I do think that we see a lot over social media, which is a double standard where men are kind of shat on at any point in time and it's okay and everyone's like haha whatever, it's just a joke, but if it happens to a woman everyone's up in arms. And it's really sad because it's just kind of like, can't we all just be companions in this? Can't we all just struggle together without shitting on each other or like screaming at someone just because of their gender? I don't know, I feel like that would be a pretty easy thing to do, but you know, internet wars are internet wars. They never fucking end. Anyways, guys, I know this was a little bit different, but I did think it was genuinely interesting. I will leave the link to this blog in the description bar in case you're interested in reading about some Christian type stuff. And anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and let's get right into the fan art.